Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Deborah Morton with Clario Real Estate, sitting here with Judy Jernigan, Sage and Grace Realty, and Rich
Zeglovich.
and John Anderson with Space in Town team. We are so excited to be here for our podcast where we are talking about the Atlanta real estate market, business, trends, and all things fun in Atlanta. Welcome. We keep talking about low inventory. What exactly is that?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. I'm looking around and there's some inventory. Inventory's building.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Inventory was really low. What does that mean? It means I do a search with all of my clients' criteria, and there's like 3 choices.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
One's
now
gone
there's
already,
like 20.
One of them's a wreck, and
Yes.
Things are sitting a little bit longer.
yes.
Yeah.
But the fact that the current homes or the homes that were listed last month haven't all gone under contract yet, and there are new ones coming on, we're watching the shift happen, especially in certain areas. I looked at the hot sheets, and
Yeah,
like Decatur, there's nothing. But in other Marietta, there's homes in Marietta now for sale.
Yeah.
But you go down where Kiki is working with these couple buyers in Ormwood Park and Grant Park, and everything's going
And
quick.
it's super competitive. There are little pockets that are very, very competitive. And it's, if the house is all sorted out and really attractive, it'll go. If it needs, something or it's slightly off, it'll linger.
Or it's priced too high.
If it's priced too high. Yeah, people are going for the stuff that all makes sense.
Easy.
Yeah.
I showed 6 homes on Saturday, everywhere from Midtown up to Alpharetta and Johns Creek. And 5 agents called me begging me to give them feedback, which I
Yeah,
have not had that. No.
I've been getting a lot of that too. Agents following up and raring to go.
So our sellers, because I have 5 listings now that didn't sell in the first weekend, and I was prepared for that. The data shows I should have been prepared for that, and I told my clients about that. But 4 out of the 5 are like, "What's going on? Tell me." And they need to know. They need us to check back. So, and agents have stopped giving feedback from the 3 years of.
No one, there wasn't even time to get feedback. People weren't looking at feedback. They weren't asking for feedback. And now
I'm calling, because the one I have in Southwest Atlanta, that's the brand new home. So we're kind of one of the most expensive houses in the neighborhood. Everybody thinks it's beautiful, but getting feedback is like you have to twist somebody's arm. I mean, we had somebody that came through that seemed like a perfect fit because the house is 1 level, 0 stairs. And my client, I guess, saw on the Ring doorbell that the person was in a wheelchair. So we were like, this might be our buyer because, brand new house and everything. And I can't even get the agent. And they did get feedback, I guess, on the automatic one. And they said the person was interested. So, of course, I'm trying to find out. And my client, man, he'll call me 15 minutes after the showing, like, what do they think? They're still showing properties, dude. I'm not going to call today. I'm going to call tomorrow. But luckily, Christy gave us that extra Showing Time Plus package. So we shot drone. And so for him, I'm just trying to keep showing him that we're working towards it. We're working towards the goal where, we'll get there. And Kiki has somebody from one of the open houses that gradually he may end up being the buyer.
Oh, that's good.
He's a slow mover.
it's a good reminder about video doorbells. Sellers may be watching.
When I was a broker, I had an agent actually, her client gave her permission to share the video. And so at one of my sales meetings, I showed the video, and it was the buyer standing on the front porch, gave their whole strategy for their ATAC, what they would, and basically then said, if we don't get any of it, we're fine with that. So you know what they got?
None of it.
Mm-hmm.
The world has changed.
I know. I tell clients not even talk about it in the house. I'm like, we'll get once we get in the car, we can call each other and we can talk about it. Because even though I think it's advisable for people to put disclosures if they have cameras in the house, they don't have to.
No.
Except certain areas. But
I think we should all just go through life these days assuming we're being videoed.
that's what I tell people. Yeah, exactly. No kidding.
Like it's just good
Like right now,
practice.
Like right now, I feel like I'm being videoed.
Oh,
Yes.
I have this strange feeling too,
All
like
the
I'm being
time.
watched. People are listening. Might be listening. Yeah, I always tell people the first time we start looking at homes to remember that there may be people watching, there may be people listening,
Yeah.
and I try to tell them, don't let that make you paranoid. Like, I still need you to tell me what you like and don't like about a home, and I think it's okay for a homeowner or to hear a potential buyer hear that they like a property. We're just not going to talk about strategy for
Right,
negotiations on camera.
Or people in pictures, or
Yes.
just keep it to the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like the $1 million question, though. What's going on in 2024?
Yeah. Well, you're in
What's going to happen?
exactly. Well, hopefully some of these buildings here in Midtown and some of this construction's going to wrap. We're seeing, all of these high rises that are going up right now here in Midtown.
I want to know if Elton John's place is going to be sold.
Oh, I think it's going to
should be.
sell.
It's a bargain. I think it's a bargain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
300.
it's Elton.
It's $357 $357 a square foot, and most of the others in that price range are around
it's huge.
1,000. It is, and I think there's the potential to split it up. And it's like 10 units put together. 6 units, and I think you could split it up and end up with a free unit at Park Place. I really do. You need to put
Sir
in-
Elton, wait a minute. Let's stop talking about it and go in on it together.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. I really think there's money to be made there at $357 a square foot. That's
Doesn't everybody
unbelievably
want a
cheap.
piece of Elton, though? Like,
Wouldn't it be a shame
Well,
to
sorry, go ahead.
to divide it all back to its original 6 or 7?
Yeah, I find it hard to believe. I don't think it's going to last long. At $5 million.
Because you have some connection, some history.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I told you. I was on the original design team that did the work in the 90s. I'm dating myself.
wait a minute.
But-
So what were the design trends back then?
A lot of it looks
I
largely
remember.
original. The firm that I worked for was called Stan Topol and Associates, and it's very classic. A lot of that white, all just plain white and moldings and classic look.
That's back.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
back.
And he didn't change
that
a lot of
was-
it.
Yeah, it never went out of style. So some of it has never been redone from then. The powder room wall fabric is the same as it was in 1994 or whatever the date was. Yeah, so.
Huh.
Yeah.
$1 billion question is kind of like, what is happening in 2024? And somebody was asking me, of course, interest rates is what everyone wants to know. And I was saying today that, I don't necessarily go out and research myself, but, in all the professional organizations that I'm involved with and everything that I hear, they're expected to, in second or third quarter, hopefully start going back down. Are you guys?
I'm hearing the same thing, but because I stay completely neutral on any political stance, depending on who you're listening to,
Really?
You-
You've been hearing that as a partisan issue, the interest rates?
that the interest rates in any election year will be coming down because the
Oh.
economy needs to be stimulated. But that, I'm
I
not an
don't-
economist.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's how it works. I don't.
Well, the trends, like the historical data would say
Shows
that
that during an election-
there may be something to be said about that, but who knows? I mean,
To your point, so much is controlled by the Fed, which is this.
Right. It's supposed to be a nonpartisan.
Yeah.
I do not know where interest rates are going. No one knows. What I have figured, what I've seen firsthand in the past year is when interest rates go down just a little bit, buyers come out of the woodwork, buyer demand
Yes.
goes up.
Yes.
When the interest rates go back up, home buyers sit back a little bit. So
Right.
it seems to sort of even out.
mhm.
Like if you, there's just so much more competition. If you wait for rates to come down, it's like it's almost smarter
Yeah.
to just go ahead when rates are a little bit higher and see if you can find a
And-
Well,
home
and
that'll
as
work
soon
for
as
you.
everybody comes out of the woodwork, prices
The
go
prices go up.
immediately, and there's no negotiating. So
Contingencies and
Yeah. It would be a good analysis to find out, if you don't have to overbid the price by $30,000, $40,000, what does that relate to in terms of holding a house at a higher percentage interest rate for a couple of years, 3, 4, 5 years?
I think housing is like the stock market. You can't time the market. You have to buy
When you're ready.
when you're ready and be consistent about how your investment strategy is.
Yeah.
I mean, because real estate's one of the most stable investments that you can make. So it's more about dating the rate and going ahead and making the commitment to the house that is right for you at that time.
One thing I know, Metro Atlanta, it's it's not going to go down. People
Yeah.
keep coming.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Home,
Yeah.
home values are staying.
And every area, like far out, I was showing up into North Georgia, Jasper, into the mountains, which I know you guys like the mountains too. And it's crazy how it's a hot market out there too. And as far south, we've got some listings in Fayette County now, and where the movie industry, if the strike is supposedly wrapping
Which
up,
it is, yeah.
then
Today.
today.
Well, they have
happened.
to ratify it, but they've
Yeah.
come to an agreement.
So with that strike ending, the movie industry on the south side of Atlanta is just, I mean, 2024 will be off the chain for that. They got a lot of making up to do for the time they were not working.
There's a new filming and sound studio and film sets coming in the old GE building in Doraville.
Yeah.
I have a little listing that's less than a little home, 2-bedroom, 1-bath cottage that's less than a half mile from where that GE is planning not only their sound stages but also mixed use development, shopping, dining,
the ancillary
residential
businesses that support all the movie studios will just continue to grow.
Right.
Well, yeah, I remember when they sold the General Motors plant, and it's been to some developers, but that's been like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what's going to happen with it. But yeah, I sold a house right there off of Chestnut, right there in the middle of Doraville, not very far from where you're talking about. And it was relatively new, one of the nicer houses. I think I sold it for $375 like a couple years ago. But when I was looking at these little ranches now these ranches are like $275, and they're like, what's yours listed for?
It's going to be around 300.
Yeah.
It's probably going to sell around 320.
So that area is really gone up a lot in value just in the last 5 to 7 years. But the two things that I think, back to what we were talking about, 2024, that I keep an eye on, I think will drive some of the stuff we're talking about, is just inflation. If inflation keeps going down, keeps decreasing, and doesn't come back up, and watching the number of people, the average number of people moving to Atlanta and the companies that are coming here. And I think those two metrics will define what happens here.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of like the precursors to interest rates and prices. Yeah.
Well, and I think that people are also settling in with this 7%, around that interest rate, because everyone went into shock in the spring. It got a little slow, and now my business has taken off again. I've been busy.
Do we want to date ourselves and say what our first interest rate was on the house we bought?
Mine was 7.
I can't even remember. I don't even remember.
Mine was in the 6s.
Yeah.
Was it? I'm old.
What was yours? 15?
It's high. My first house was $47,000 in Dallas, Texas, and my interest rate was pushing 16%.
Oh my God.
But I was 20. I was a high risk borrower.
Well,
I had
that's true
great
too,
credit,
yeah.
but that's funny.
Yeah, I was 20 as well, or 19. I bought it with somebody else, so I had a co-signer that helped because I didn't have any credit. I don't know if I could have done it at 19 without. I was seeing somebody at the time. We bought it together, but it was $82,000 and I think a 7% interest rate. I remember the way I established my credit is I turned in literally utility bills, and I had 0 credit at that point. I think I had 1 credit card, but like a $800 limit or something. So you can get. But I think I could have gotten qualified for a certain amount, but so it's something to be said that, when you're that young, sometimes you have to start with utility bills and, that kind of credit building. I don't know, is that still the way it works? I don't think I hear about all this stuff about parents, getting children credit cards at a very young age or taking credit cards out in their children's name. I've heard problems from it, but I've also heard that some people do it to build their kids' credit. So it's like, in their mind, they're giving a gift of something. Dave Ramsey would say something completely different, I think. But yeah, I don't know if that's a common thing, but my parents didn't know anything about that.
I still like cash. Save up your cash.
Right.
Be a smart buyer.
Right.
But if interest rates are so low, it's that the cash is practically free, if we could get back to that. I think.
That is true. Well, maybe we'll see more of that with higher interest rates where people will actually have cash and put more money down.
Well, and that's why I think that having more expensive listings, or especially luxury listings, isn't necessarily a bad thing right now, because people are that have the cash would rather put it into a property like that where they're making 7% or saving 7% or whatever. But
Right.
so I'm wondering if well, we're hoping on that one listing that that will come true.
Okay, so thanks, guys. This was so much fun. Thanks for joining us together today. We're going to do this again because it's too much fun. And this is now our routine podcast. Anybody who wants to join can find us on YouTube or any of the places you find your favorite podcasts. Follow along and watch for our next episode soon.